Here's a few things that have worked for us that I explained to our academy kids I wanted to share with everybody. Here's 5 things you should keep in mind as we enter the off season, so that your postseason opportunity of improvement doesn't slip past you, because that can happen pretty quickly. Some of us will wake up and say, in the blink of an eye, it's August 15th, and you're like, where did my summer go? I'm starting school again. I didn't get better. This is 25% of the year, 1/4 of a year is what off-season wrestling is. And if you don't take advantage of that, it's going to cost you. You multiply that over 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. It's going to take its toll on you. So number 1 would be, it's time to remake a schedule. So let's pretend you've been lifting weights before school, after school. Maybe you get on the wrestling mat 2 days a week immediately after school. Well, there's no more school, so you have to remake a schedule. So do it now while school is still in session. You should be lifting 3 days a week, wrestling 3 days a week, I think, and just studying the performance psychology and sports psychology, 3 hours a week as well, whether it's reading, listening, you name it. So, and you can combine some of those too. So maybe you read a book for an hour. Maybe you went to wrestling practice and you lifted that day too. You've got all 3 crammed into one day. So you don't really have to dominate your whole summer break with training, because you can combine these, and then whenever you map out your calendar, you're going to see white space. That white space on your calendar, that's fun time. That's free time. So have a schedule that says, these are the 3 days I'm lifting, these are the 3 days I'm wrestling, and here's some time each day or every other day that I'm going to kind of learn how my mind works and kind of learn the mental tricks of the trade that is lacking a lot of times. And a lot of times it just kind of goes unnoticed or unmanaged. So you want to make time for that. Number 2 would be, you really don't need more days. Think about putting more effort into your days. If I can get on the wrestling mat 3 days a week and I can get 6 practices worth of improvement crammed into 3 practices because of more focused effort, and I cut out the distractions, same thing in the weight room. It's easy to get distracted in a weight room. So think about putting more effort into your time, rather than maybe you're super motivated and you're trying to come up with a schedule that's too big that you can't stick with and maintain, because you do want some white space on your calendar. Those rest and recovery times are important. So think about getting more effort crammed into that weightlifting session. Try to get 3 hours of improvement crammed into that 2 hours of wrestling practice. Number 3 would be, don't get into a practice rut where you're just kind of doing the same handful of drills and some live wrestling. Make sure that you're stomping out these fires. So for example, if you struggle, maybe you get to your feet well on bottom, but you struggle with breaking the hands and getting your escape point, spend 30 minutes there. 3 days this week, spend an hour and a half on that one isolated piece, because you're going to find that that's where your confidence comes from. And then, you map out a few. So I always say this, if you could wave a magic wand and make one thing go away, what would that be? That's where you need to spend about 80% of your time on. Now, maybe write down two or three other things. It could be strength. It's going to take some time to develop strength. You might not notice a lot of gains for 2, 3, 4 months. Okay, but I guarantee you spend just 30 minutes working out to get out of a front headlock, or how to recover from a bad shot, or how to get a 5 count on a tilt. Maybe you have a great tilt, but you don't get a lot of 5 counts. Okay, let's work that position and spend some time there. So you're going to find that some things don't take a lot of time, but the benefit, the confidence that we gain from just a little bit of time, it can be mind-blowing. So make sure that you are stomping out these fires and also spending some time developing your strengths. Spend a little bit of time every day thinking about what you want. It's easy to do preseason, all right? Because football season's coming to a close. Coaches have an open mat. You start getting ready for weight certification. It's end of September, 1st of October. The fall colors, and the weather's changing, and you just kind of get into wrestling mode, and then your wrestling season's 4 months. There's about 7 months a year where it's kind of like wrestling time. And even in the postseason, most of you get into some freestyle tournaments or summer tournaments. So, there's another couple of months. But there's about 4 months there, 3 or 4 months there that can get away from you. So during those times especially, you need to remind yourself about your goals and what you want. Because, we want to be drawn. We want to be drawn to and not push. We don't want someone behind us pushing us. You want to be able to be excited and drawn to practice. Drawn to the weight room. Maybe it's Wednesday at 10 a.m. is when you go lift weights. Okay, you want to be drawn to the weight room because you spent some time tapping into that emotional connection. Okay, so spend time every day thinking about what you want. We need these reminders, okay? Last thing I would say is don't spend your summer, two things. Number one would be don't spend your summer lifting and running. Lifting 3 days a week, wrestling. This is wrestling. You're not a bodybuilder. You're not a power lifter. Don't say I trained in the off season, but I didn't get on a wrestling mat. That is just completely silly. Make sure you're on the wrestling mat. So wrestling 3 days a week, lifting 3 days a week, and I think some sprints or hill sprints 1 day a week. You can do that after wrestling practice or after one of your weightlifting sessions can be a tremendous thing. One last thing I saw in my notes that we discussed last night with my academy kids is, if you want to become more explosive, you need to drill more explosively. So add some explosive drilling. Okay, so maybe it's a snap down, go behind. Maybe it's a head snap or a slam pick. Maybe it's a fake head snap, single leg. Some techniques aren't really explosive, like mat wrestling, finishing a cradle, but a lot of the wrestling, especially from a neutral position, a lack of crisp, short, snappy, explosive movements, lack of that ability, it can cost you dearly. We don't swing a baseball bat like this or a softball bat. You don't throw a football like this. No, you throw, you hit, you throw a punch, you drop your level, you attack. So when you start to drill with the athleticism of a combat sport athlete, you're going to find that your explosiveness develops. The best way to get fast is to go outside and run fast. The best way to get strong is to lift heavy weights. The best way to learn to develop with explosiveness is to drill with explosiveness. So we don't need to think outside the box. We need to be very simple with this. And I think that is something that we kind of overlook as athletes. So there's my tips. Like, subscribe, share this with 5 others. We appreciate you guys following us. And I hope you have a tremendous off season.